name is Keely. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new. If you are new, you should stick around and definitely subscribe. Today we are going to be doing a bookshelf tour. Now, since this channel is new for me, I decided to kick it off with a bookshelf tour so you kind of know what we're working with, know what my bookshelves look like. So I actually have quite a few books and I have a lot of bookshelves. I have 7 bookshelves. 4 of them are like 5 shelf bookcases, and then 2 of them are smaller and they are 4 shelf. All of my bookcases are from Walmart. I go super cheap. They're each like $30, a lot cheaper than some of the like higher quality ones, but I have had these for years and I haven't had any problems. I really enjoy them. I do have black shelves currently, but I'm thinking that one day when I move and get new shelves, I might go with white ones. I don't know. Stick around and subscribe and see. So, answering a few questions before I get started, how I organize my books. Basically, they are pretty much organized by genre and then vibes. Like, we're just going for good vibes here. I do have shelves that have like my favorite books of all time, and then I have shelves where the authors just make sense together. I have some thriller and horror shelves, and then I also have shelves that are like throwback shelves, like the classic dystopian series. I also have a shelf that I'm not going to be showing in this video, and that is my TBR shelf. I plan on making an entire separate video all about my TBR books, so if you want to see that and are looking forward to it, let me know. Give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, something. But yes, so I think that is all the questions I need to answer before I start this. If you have any other questions about my shelves, leave it down below and I will be sure to answer them. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So this is an overview when you first walk into my room. I have a small bookshelf right there, and then I have 3 large bookshelves on that wall, a little gallery wall I've started, my TBR cart, a small shelf, and then when you turn right here facing the bed, I have 2 more tall bookshelves and then a pile of unhauled books right by them. Okay, starting with this first tall bookshelf right here, I'm actually not going to go through it in this tour because these are all unread books. This is my TBR shelf, so I will do a separate video for that. As well as this next shelf, that top shelf is also TBR books. So I'm going to be starting from this second shelf on this tall bookcase. Okay, so on this first shelf, we kind of have fantasy and dystopian. There are only 3 authors on the shelf. So first off, we have my NCT 127 calendar from last year. And then I have this little feather here that says, "The stories we love best do live in us forever." And it reminded me of the Shadowhunter books because all the stories are true. And then right here, I have a little Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children pen. It is one of the pictures from the series. And right next to that, all the way to the right, I have my little monkey and my little mouse from when I was little. So as for books, all the way to the left, I have my Dark Artifices books that I have read so far. It is my least favorite Cassandra Clare books, so they go on a separate shelf because there's not enough room on my other Shadowhunter shelf. And then the next books we have are my Taheda Mafi books, the Shatter Me series, and then all of these are her husband, Ransom Riggs, the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series, which I absolutely love. So clearly on the shelf, this is my Cassandra Clare Shadowhunter shelf. Over here we have this little goblet. It is a Hufflepuff goblet, but it reminded me of the Shadowhunter books, so I put it on the shelf. And then I also have a little duck squishy thing. If you know about ducks in the series, then you know. I have another little duck up here on top of this book, another duck on top of this book, and then I have my Clockwork Angel necklace right here. So clearly we have the Mortal Instruments series right here, the Bane Chronicles, and then this one is actually the 10th anniversary edition of Clockwork Angel, which is absolutely beautiful. And right next to that is the rest of the Infernal Devices series. So this shelf is kind of a miscellaneous shelf. Clearly in the middle I have my Harry Potter lunchbox, and then over here I have a chocolate frog box. But other than that, all the way to the right, I have this book, which you all need to read. This is The Electric Kingdom by David Arnold. This is my favorite book that I've read so far this year, and like no one's talking about it, so please read it. And then right next to that, I have some Neil Shusterman books, Downsiders, and then the Unwind Dystology. The 4th book isn't over here because I am currently reading it, and so it's on like my reading shelf. And then all these books over here, well, most of them are first books in series where I don't have the sequels to. So for example, we have Red Rising by Pierce Brown, But we also have books where I'm not going to continue in the series, but I'm not getting rid of these books just yet. So we have The Shadows Between Us by Trisha Levenseller and Forged in Fire and Stars by Andrea Robertson. And then just some Mackenzie Lee, Carrie Ryan books. There's 2 of those right here. And then Kendara Blake, Jason Reynolds. So these are just books where I need the sequel or I'm not going to continue. Alright, so this bottom shelf is really hard to film, so bear with me. But these are kind of darker books with other books, you know, that just kind of fit there. All the way to the right, I have a deck of cards signed by Matt Franco from America's Got Talent. He was the winner. And then I have a ton of Ellen Hopkins books. And I also have a bunch of those anonymous books that a lot of us read when we were like in 6th grade. I have some Nicholas Sparks. I have The Invention of Hugo Cabret, Francine Rivers books, a Julie Murphy book, and a Patrick Ness book at the end. So a lot of these are just like hard-hitting contemporary. Okay, so this angle is absolutely terrible, but this is the first shelf on my next bookcase. We have kind of a lot going on here. We have some historical fiction, we have my Shrine of Katrina Leno, and we have some dystopian and fantasy. Over here, all the way to the left, I have my Haiti little box that I got while I visited, and then I have a little change jar that just says Adventure Fund. All of these books right here are historical fiction. Clearly, these are all my Katrina Leno books. I really love her and I buy all of her books right away and read them like pretty quickly. And these are my program series. Some of them are in my TBR shelf, that's why it's not completed. I have more Suzanne Young. All of these are Suzanne Young. And then I have my Wicked Fox books by Kat Cho. I really, really love Wicked Fox. It is absolutely beautiful. I think this is one of the most stunning covers and I really need to get the sequel so I can just have a really beautiful shelf with these 2 books. So this is one of my favorite shelves. This is my thriller and horror shelf. I've recently realized that thriller and horror is my favorite genre, and so I've been reading more and more of them, and I love that I have a whole shelf that I can just put all of those books. So all the way to the left here, we have my little whale plushie, and then I also have a light stick on here from my 21 Pilots concert a few years ago. So starting over here, we have The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, and then I have 2 Riley Sager books, I have a Megan Miranda book, and then some Grady Hendrix books, which this one is actually one of my favorite books of all time. It was my favorite book last year, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Absolutely love it. As you can tell, vampires are kind of my thing. And then right next to Grady Hendrix, I have Sadie by Courtney Summers, and then I have 2 Natalie D. Richards books. She's a young adult thriller author, and I really enjoy her books. And then I have The Girl in the Headlines, The Perfect Place to Die, which this cover is absolutely amazing. I love this cover, and it was also a really good book. Next to that, we have The Good Lie, then we have a Natasha Preston book, we have Good Girls Die First, and then How We Fall Apart, and then we have my little stack of Stephen King right here. I have read more Stephen King than this, but I don't own those books yet. These 2 are a part of like the new Hoffer and Stoughton editions, and they're rainbow, which is stunning. And then this was actually my dad's copy of Pet Sematary from like the 80s. He has only read like 5 books in his life, and 2 of them have been Stephen King books, so that's pretty iconic of him. And then finally, the last 3 books on the shelf, we have Horns by Joe Hill, which is actually Stephen King's son, and I actually read Joe Hill before I ever read Stephen King. And then I have You by Caroline Kepnes, one of my favorites, and then I have the first book in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series, which I really need to continue. So this next shelf is one of my favorite shelves, and I put most of my favorite books on here. I have a lot of favorite shelves, so this is the beginning of them. I have a lot of little trinkets on here too, so let's go through them. I have my army of Dracos right there. I have my little army of Toothless up there, and then I have a homemade wand that I got at LeakyCon, and it came with a little hippogriff feather. Alright, I took some of those off so we could see the books more clearly, but over here obviously we have An Ember in the Ashes series. I love that series. It is one of my all-time favorite fantasy series. I'm not a huge fantasy reader, but I just love An Ember in the Ashes so much. I also have the first 2 in the original covers and the last 2 in the newer covers. I love both editions so much, but I do want to get the complete set in these newer covers because I just think they look so good together. And then I have right here House of Salt and Sorrows, which was one of my favorite books last year. I absolutely love this book. And then I have City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. This is also another one of my favorite books from last year, The Jewel Thief. And then clearly I have my Throne of Glass stack right here. I have reread the first 3 books in Throne of Glass so many times, but I am finally going to complete the series this year. I enjoy the first 2 books a lot more than the rest of the series, so I'm excited to see how I feel once it's all over. But right next to that we have Holly Black's The Coldest Girl in Cold Town, The Vanishing Deep, and then I have the first book in the Crave series, and then over here clearly my Illuminae File series, which is one of my favorite young adult series of all time and one of my favorite sci-fi books ever. So this shelf is mostly a throwback shelf. We mostly have dystopian on here. So all the way to the left we have my little Ronald Weasley, we have Voldemort and Harry Potter dueling, and then we have my little Kung Fu Panda over here. So first, all the way to the left, we have Sky Hunter and Steel Striker, and I'm actually going to take these out because they are some of the most stunning books I have ever seen. Like, look at those together, and then also look at the pages. They have the book title, and then let me show you what they look like without their dust jackets. So this is the first book, Sky Hunter, without its dust jacket. It is so beautiful. And then the sequel, Steel Striker, is just as beautiful. I think these books are some of the most stunning I have, and I had to show them off. So right next to those beautiful books we have Jacoby, which I just finished that series last month and I absolutely love it. It is set in the 1800s and it's basically a paranormal detective series. Right next to that, we clearly have my Selection series. I read this for the first time when I was already like 25 and I'm absolutely obsessed with it, no shame. And then I have Dark Lover right here, which is the first book in a very long vampire romance series. Right next to that, I have the first book in The Naturals, which is one of my favorite series of all time. It is about like the FBI. It's basically Criminal Minds for young adults. Then we have The Wrath of the Dawn, and then my entire James Dashner collection. We have The Fever Code, and then I have 3 copies of the Maze Runner series. So first I have this really cool slipcover edition, and the book is very bright inside. It's really neat. Next I have the movie covers of the Maze Runner series. These next ones are pretty much the same as the originals, but they're a little bit shinier. There's like some foil to them. And then finally I have my original Maze Runner copies, which the first one is actually signed by James Dashner. So that is it for the shelf, and I actually have a pretty good collection of signed books, so if you would like me to do a video of all the books I have signed, I will definitely do that for you. So once again, this is the bottom of the bookshelf, so this is harder to film, and this is a contemporary shelf. So I have my NCT Dream calendar from last year, and then I have a little Care Bear. Alright, so moving those out of the way, I have Again But Better by Christine Riccio, I have The Deal by Elle Kennedy, I have Fangirl, 5 Feet Apart. I have 2 copies of those because I love that book and the covers are beautiful. Then I have The Way You Make Me Feel, When Dimple Met Rishi, and then I actually have Verity by Colleen Hoover, which isn't really a contemporary, but I know the rest of her books are going to be contemporary, so I put that there just for when I get her other books. Then I have Dear Evan Hansen, They Both Die at the End, and then I have 3 Gail Forman books right here. And then right next to that I have My Life Next Door, and then I have A Pho Love Story. So A Pho Love Story is a Vietnamese Romeo and Juliet retelling, and it is one of my favorite books this year. Absolutely love it. And then right next to that we have By the Book. I have 2 copies of The First Time She Drowned, and then I have 2 Nicola Yoon books, and finally In a Holidays by Christina Lauren, which I really love that book. That is my first book by them. So right in between my big and my small bookshelf, I have my TBR cart, but once again, I'm going to be doing a TBR video, so this is just a little preview, and then I will show you my gallery wall. So this is what my gallery wall looks like so far. I still have a lot of room that I can put more things. So first I have 3 little prints, and they are all Harry Potter prints, and then you can see me in this reflection. I have the Hogwarts Castle, and then right next to it, I have a little Doyoung from NCT print. And then above that, I have a Luna Lovegood print. And then coming to this wall, there's Dumbledore. We have the stag up there, Hogwarts at Night. And then I have a little painting of Toothless Eyes. And then that very top one is From Blood and Ash. And then right there, I have a tweet that I printed out, and I actually got signed by Tom Felton. And then I also have 2 paintings right here that my friend did for me. So this shelf is actually one of those shelves that I talk about when I say a throwback shelf. This entire bookshelf has a lot of throwback series. So a lot of these are dystopian and young adult fantasy, paranormal fantasy, things like that. So first we have my little Oregon snowman. And then all the way to the right I have my little Draco. Draco is everywhere. So the first series I have here is the Shiver series by Maggie Stiefvater. This is werewolves, so it is paranormal romance. And then we have the Mara Dyer series, which was originally a trilogy, but I think there's more now. But I just have the first 3. And this is also paranormal romance, but this one is like ghosts, I guess. And then next we have the Paranormalcy trilogy. This is also paranormal romance. There's a lot of different creatures in this. and these covers really, really do throw back to like the early 2010s. Next, we have the H2O duology, which is actually a dystopian duology where rain is toxic and it kills you. Next, I have the Legend trilogy, which is dystopian, and then I have the Fifth Wave trilogy, which is also dystopian sci-fi. So my next throwback shelf, we have Sirius Black's Wand, and then the first series we have on here is the 100. And then I have the Reboot duology by Amy Tintera, which is dystopian, and it reminds me a lot of the Hunger Games, and I really enjoyed it. And then I have my Divergent series, which is one of the biggest dystopians ever. Right next to that, I have my Of Poseidon series, which is a mermaid series. And then all the way to the right, I have my Shadow and Bone trilogy. I actually unhauled Six of Crows and the other books because, in my opinion, Shadow and Bone is so much better than Six of Crows, and unpopular opinion, Six of Crows is not a good book, but I loved the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Now this shelf is mostly like standalones. I think there's one duology on here that I have read, but I will probably never read again, and so they might potentially get unhauled one day, but I'm not ready for that yet. So first we have my little Linus Funko Pop, and then I have a Pokeball mirror. So first we have Frankly in Love over here. I have two copies, the Book of the Month edition, and then the regular edition that has sprayed edges. It is so pretty. And then I have Speak, Happy Face, The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight, and then I have an entire Sandy Hall collection that I won in a giveaway, and these are all signed by her, so that's really cool. Probably won't ever get rid of those because I think that's a really cool thing. And then I have my Winger duology, which I remember loving years and years ago, and I really wonder if I would now. And then I also have Love and Gelato, which I still want to read all the other books in the series. I did enjoy this one, and they're cute little, like, travel romances. And then I have a really old book, The Adoration of Jenna Fox. I have 1,000 Nights, The Running Dream. I have The Martian, which I really enjoyed. I recently picked up Project Hail Mary by him, and I did not enjoy that one, but I really like this one. Then I have Me Before You. Oh, the controversy that this book caused. I have Overruled, and then I have a lot of Brandon Kiley books. I have Rhett and Link's book over here, and then Far, Far Away, which is like a fairy tale book, which is actually pretty cool. And then the last shelf on this bookcase, I really don't need to go over too much because it's not too exciting. It's kind of a lot of miscellaneous. On the left we have like children's books, the first 3 books in the Princess Diary series. I have some Christmas books on here. I have some memoirs. And then I have like the Bible and Christian nonfiction books, and then mainly just memoirs on this shelf, which I do enjoy, so I keep them here all together, but it's mainly just miscellaneous. Okay, so now we are on this next wall with these 2 big bookshelves, and these are my absolute favorite shelves. So once again with this absolutely horrendous angle, the first shelf is clearly my Mythology / Rick Riordan shelf. So I have a little goat over here that Katie from Katie's Book Nook got me, and it makes sound. So I love it. So clearly on the left I have my Percy Jackson series. I have 2 sets of this series. The top half is the set that I got in Wales, and the bottom half is the original set. And then right next to that I have the Heroes of Olympus series, and then I have the Kane Chronicles, as well as a Mythology book by Edith Hamilton. So right next to the Mythology book I actually have the 2 books in the 1,000 Worlds series by Yoon Ha Lee. This is from Rick Riordan Presents, and I'm currently reading all of the Rick Riordan Presents books. Dragon Pearl was one of my favorites, absolutely loved it. Did not like Tiger Honor, but this is Korean mythology, so it's super fascinating. And then right next to that, I have the first book in the Arusha series, which is the Pandava series by Roshni Chokshi, and this is Hindu mythology. And then all the way to the right here, I have the Star-Touched Queen, which is not a Rick Riordan thing, but it is right next to the Roshni Chokshi book, so that's why I put it there. So this shelf is my first of 3 Harry Potter shelves, and I have many little knickknacks on here. First we have Remus and Neville. I have a little wand pen. I have this Harry Potter bookmark, the Golden Snitch. I have a Golden Snitch bracelet, and then this is Sirius Black's wand holder. I have several wands up there from Walmart, and then I have my little Tom Riddle right here. So quickly going through this, I have a special edition of Order of the Phoenix. These 3 are hardcovers that I got in England. The Chamber of Secrets one is actually in Latin. And then I have the paperbacks as well. And then these 2 I actually got in Korea. So this is actually the Philosopher's Stone, but it is broken up into 2 volumes. And then this middle stack is actually these drawing editions of Harry Potter that when you line them all up, they go together. And then I have this really cool box set that I got in England. And then I have the signed edition of Deathly Hallows. I have these editions of the first 2 books, which are really colorful. And then I have some house editions over here. So this is my second Harry Potter shelf. I have some Harry and Hedwig plushies. I have a little time turner, a wand right here, a little luggage tag, and then I have Harry and Hagrid, Luna, and her glasses. So all the way to the left, I have the illustrated editions. I have the cookbook. I have the Mina Lima editions, which are really incredible to read. I have 2 random paperback copies, and then I have the first 3 in hardcover, and then this is my original paperback set. So this shelf holds some of my favorite books of all time. So all the way to the left, I have a little Hermione plushie. I have an Elf on the Shelf that my family sent me when I lived out of the country. Then I have a little ghosty. And I have a Hunger Games cup that I got from the Hunger Games movie premiere. So I might show off these books a little bit more because I just love them so much. So all the way to the left here, I have The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. Absolutely love this book, and it is so stunning. And then right next to The Gilded Ones, I have the Kinder Poison series. So the first book is The Kinder Poison, and the second book is The Cruelest Mercy, and then this is my arc of The Kinder Poison. So the first 2 books are from a publisher, but it didn't get picked up for the rest of the series, but the author is actually coming out with the rest of the books she just announced, so I'm very, very excited. I love this series and the magic system, and there is a deadly game involved. So next to those books, we have the beginning of my Hunger Games collection. So these editions are the British editions. I don't know if all the British editions look like this, but these ones I just got on Amazon, and they are absolutely stunning, and I really, really love them. I think my favorite might be the Catching Fire book. Like, it's just so pretty. And then on top of the stack, I have my foil editions, which are, talk about shiny. These are very shiny and really beautiful. And then these editions I got in England for £5 for the entire set, and I just love how sleek and black they look. And then at the bottom of the stack, I have the first book in paperback. Alright, so next to the stack, I have the Hunger Games series in hardcover, as well as the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which the casting so far that has been announced for this is iconic. Chef's kiss. Absolutely love it. And then right next to my Hunger Games books, I have the severely underrated Suzanne Collins series, Gregor the Overlander. This is what the first book looks like. It is a middle grade series about a little boy who discovers a world under the ground. Alright, and at the very bottom of this bookshelf, all the way to the left, I have my NCT Season's Greetings packaging. They are huge, but they fit perfectly on this shelf. And the rest of the books here are all of some of my favorite contemporary books. So I have the Anna and the French Kiss trilogy, The Hating Game, I have To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy, as well as other Jenny Han books, The Summer I Turned Pretty, which I'm very excited for that TV show. And then I have my entire Sarah Dessen collection. Okay, this is the last time we have to use this awful angle. So I have my Gryffindor scarf here. I'm not a Gryffindor, but I have it. Then I have my platform 9 3/4 ticket and a little piglet. So first, all the way to the left, we have the Remnant Chronicle series, and the first book is The Kiss of Deception. This is my favorite fantasy series. Absolutely love it. Please read it. I also have a poster to that series right here. And then I have the entire Bloodline series by Rochelle Mead. Really love that series, but first you need to read the Vampire Academy series. Don't read Bloodlines until you read Vampire Academy because it'll spoil relationships and characters and pretty much the whole plot for Vampire Academy. But these are vampire series, and I love them. And don't be turned away by the awful covers of the Bloodline series. This is what the first book looks like, but I promise you it is well worth it. And then for Vampire Academy, I have the classic paperbacks, but I also have the original first copy, which is really beat up, but I got it in like a surprise mystery box, so I kept it. So this next shelf is my Marissa Meyer and my Jennifer L. Armentrout shelf. So first I have a little bag that says Property of the Half-Blood Prince. And then I have a little goblet that I had butterbeer ice cream in when I went to the Warner Brothers studio tour. And then I have a little sword that I got in the Fairy Loot from the From Blood and Ash box, as well as 2 character magnets that were in that box. So first we have my entire Lunar Chronicles set. I love the Lunar Chronicles. It is once again one of my favorite series of all time. Absolutely love it. I think Cress is my favorite just because I pictured myself when I was reading her. And then we have my first Jennifer L. Armentrout book, The Problem with Forever, which is the first Jennifer L. Armentrout book that I ever read. And then right next to that I have the Lex series, and these horrendous covers, but this was the first series I read by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I fell completely in love with them. I read each book within a day. So this is the bind up of the first 2 books, the bind up of the second 2, and then this is the 5th book. And then I also have this edition of Obsidio, which is part of the Lux series. I like these editions a whole lot more, and this actually is an Alien series, because I didn't say that already. And the next Jennifer L. Armentrout books I haven't read 2 of these, but I put them over here because I'm not going to read them. So this is the From Blood and Ash series. A Shadow in the Ember is the prequel, which I have not read. And then this is the first book, From Blood and Ash, which I absolutely loved. And then I also read and liked the sequel, A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. But the 3rd book, A Crown of Guild and Bones, I have not read, and I'm not going to because I heard something about the 4th book that I don't agree with, so I'm not going to continue with the series. And finally on the shelf, we have this special edition of From Blood and Ash, which is absolutely stunning. It's very shiny. We have the sprayed edges, and then the naked hardcover is also very stunning. So next we have my final Harry Potter shelf. I have some of his glasses. I have a time turner, a little mirror that says, "Have you seen this wizard?" Then I have a Lego set, some Pop Funkos, and a little newt over here. So these books over here are from Fantastic Beasts, like all of these right here. And then I also have this cute little book called Calling All Witches, and it is about all the witches in the book, just the women. And then I have this Chinese edition of Harry Potter. I have a mass market paperback of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I have the German edition of Harry Potter. I have the Scots edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And here I have the Italian edition of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And then the rest of these are just Quidditch Through the Ages, Tales of Beedle the Bard. I have Harry A History, the Fantastic Beasts books, and then The Cursed Child. And then this is a journey through a history of magic. I have A History of Magic Illustrated, The Creature Vault, the Tales of Beedle the Bard, and then this is a calendar set. So next we have my Twilight shelf. So first I have 3 little badges over here. So this one says, "Who needs a prince with a horse when you can have a vampire with a Volvo?" And this one says, "That was the first night I dreamt of Edward Cullen." And then finally this one says, "I promise that this will be the last time you'll see me. It'll be as if I'd never existed." And then I have my cup from the Breaking Dawn Part 2 premiere. And then I have trading cards from New Moon. So first I have my original copies of Twilight. I have Twilight in paperback, I have 2 paperback copies of New Moon, and then hardcover of Eclipse and Breaking Dawn. And then I have my favorite set, which includes The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner, and this is the white edition, I don't know what else it's called. And then I have the graphic novel volume 2, The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner, and then of course I have the movie edition. And then I have this special edition of New Moon. So this is what the slipcover looks like. And then when you take it out, it's just like, there's no dust jacket or anything. It looks kind of cheap because there's just like this sticker on here. But it is also signed. I'm pretty sure that's just a stamp, but it's still cool nonetheless. And then all the way over here, I have the 10th anniversary edition with Life and Death. And then I have the complete illustrated movie companion to Twilight. Okay, and this is my very last shelf on this bookcase, and this is more contemporary. So all the way to the left, I have 4 Morgan Matson books. I have The Unexpected Everything, Since You've Been Gone, Second Chance Summer, Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, and then I have the 2 books in the Geekerella series. I need to get the 3rd one. And then in the middle, I have my giant stack of John Green books. Yes, I have 2 copies of The Fault in Our Stars and Turtles All the Way Down. And then at the bottom of the stack, I have 2 David Levithan books, and then I have My True Love Gave to Me. And then to the right of the stack, I have my Casey West books. I love Casey West. So I have The Distance Between Us, On the Fence, P.S. I Like You, By Your Side, The Fill-In Boyfriend, Love, Life, and the List, which is my favorite. And then I have Listen to Your Heart. And then all the way to the right, I have a book that does not fit on this shelf, and that is The Host. But I didn't have room on my Twilight shelf, so I just put it below it. Okay, so this is my very last bookcase, and it is one of the small ones, but it will be a little bit more difficult to film because it's kind of in the corner. But I wanted to show you the top of the shelf because it's pretty cool. So first I have 2 little Toothless figurines, and then I have a little Kian from Monsta X button. And these are all vintage edition of books, except this one is from my sorority. But over here we have The Three Musketeers, we have The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, we have The Return of Sherlock Holmes, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, and then I have Grimm's Fairy Tales, Pride and Prejudice. Let me show you this edition. This is so beautiful, and it actually has gold gilded edges. And then I have A Treasury of Sherlock Holmes, and then these are all William Shakespeare books. I will pull out one of them to show you what it looks like. So this is what volume 1 looks like, and these editions are actually from 1944. If you want me to do a whole video about these vintage books and like talk about where they came from and what year they are, I would love to do that. So this first shelf is an odd combination because it is manga and classics. So I have some K-pop keychains over here. I have Kian. This one's not K-pop, but it is from Korea, and that is Ah Peach. And then this is from a GOT7 album. And then I have these mini editions from Shakespeare. This is the complete plays in one sitting, The Bard's Guide to Abuses and Affronts, which is pretty funny. And then this one is Love Sonnets of Shakespeare, and I got this in England. And then also on the shelf, because this is my classic shelf, I have 2 pence, I have a 50 pence, and then this one is 20 pence. So all the way to the left, I have the first manga I ever read, which is the Orange series. And then I have Yona of the Dawn Volume 1, Blackbird Volume 1, and then this one's actually a graphic novel. This is the Volume 1 of Scott Pilgrim. And then I have the Black Edition Volume 1 of Death Note, which I love. I really need to continue with this series. It's so good. And then next to Death Note, I have Volume 1 of Heartstopper, which is a graphic novel, and this is actually an arc of it that I got from my friend Katie. And then I have the entire Happiness manga series, which is 10 volumes. This is a vampire manga, and the art is incredible. Like, this is just volume 1, and the covers are stunning. And then moving on to my classics, I got most of these when I was living in England. I have Shakespeare Sonnets, I have The Tempest, Julius Caesar, A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Taming of the Shrew, and then I have some Jane Austen, I have Persuasion, Pride and Prejudice, and then I have Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights, and then I have this beautiful edition of Jane Eyre, which I'm so scared to read, but I've been like having the urge lately to read this, but I don't know if I'll like it. So this is actually my last bookshelf with books on it because the 2 under it are all K-pop albums. So first we have 2 T10s from England, and then I actually have this signed CD from one of my favorite K-pop artists, and I actually got to do a video call with him, and then he sent me a signed CD, which he didn't actually sell physical copies, so I have only 1 of 10 in the world. So all the way to the right, we have some comics. I have The Walking Dead Volume 1 and Monstrous Volume 1, and then these books, up until right here, are all nonfiction. These are all nonfiction English books, except this one is Tombstone's Most Haunted, about Tombstone, Arizona. And then I have The Color Purple by Alice Walker, which is a classic. And then I have 2 books from my graduate class. And then I have some classics over here. So I have The Giver and Son, and The Messenger's also in here, but I've only read Giver, which is one of my favorites. Then I have The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, A Christmas Carol, The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Society. I have The Outsiders, which is one of my favorites as well. Then I have The Perks of Being a Wallflower. I have this cute little edition of Charles Dickens' The Signal Man, which is just really cute and shiny. And then I have The Empty Grave, which was from my mom's childhood. And then I have The Adventures of Robin Hood, and these 2 editions are actually Barnes & Noble Classics edition. So we have Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, and then I have Peter Pan, which I actually don't like either of these classics, but the editions are too beautiful to give away. And then I have The Secret Garden, Where the Sidewalk Ends, and then one more book for my graduate class. Just an overview of my last 2 shelves that are just full of K-pop albums. Alright, so that is it for my bookshelf tour. If you have any questions about my books or any of my shelves, leave it down below and I will answer it. I have yet to edit this video, so I don't know how long it'll be, but I tried to go through as quickly as possible. I left a poll on Twitter if you would like an overview or each book individually, and the poll said an overview, so I didn't go through each individual book, but I tried to name as many as I could, and hopefully you got a good grasp on what my shelves look like. But if you made it this far in the video, first of all, thank you. But go ahead and leave a book stack emoji so I know people actually watched this long video. But I think that is it. If you want to follow me and be friends on all my social medias, they will all be down below. I have my Twitter, my Goodreads, my Instagram, and I have Pango Books where I am selling books that I am unhauling. If you would like me to do an unhaul video of all those books that are on my Pango Books, let me know and I will definitely do that. But this video has been long enough, so I will see you next time. Bye!